Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Utility Sports. And in today's video, we're taking a look at NFL Week 9 predictions and pick'em. Week 8 was absolutely crazy. We've also got the trade deadline coming up this Tuesday. We are, of course, recording this Sunday night before the Sunday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Vikings, which is going to be a great game. But we're focused here on Week 9 now, what we think is going to happen, and some key storylines to follow. So let's go ahead, jump into it here. If you guys aren't subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like, also comment to be entered for an NFL jersey giveaway. That is a Justin Fields Chicago Bears jersey, completely free for you to have a chance at winning. Just take 30 seconds of your time, leave a like, subscribe, and comment. All you have to do could be something as simple as the words jersey giveaway. Let's jump into our pick'em records here, Austin. You are continuing to pull away from me. I seemingly cannot catch you. You are at 45-27. He is the wizard on the channel. For those of you who do not know, he is Mr. NFL, and his pick'em records better than any of those experts on TV.
Not correct, guys. Not correct.
And then looking at me here, I'm at a lousy 42-30. Definitely not enough room for me to catch up this week. There are quite a few differences between our picks. I'm trying to make some hero plays. We'll see if it leaves me about 7 or 8 games back at the end of the week. Probably the case. If you're picking for your own fantasy pick'em, you might want to join the wizard side and maybe not listen to me as much. Moving into the NFL Week 9 bye teams, there are 4 teams on bye this week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are looking to get back on track after a loss to the New Orleans Saints today. The Seattle Seahawks, who ran all over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Geno Smith looked the part of a second-round pick in that game. Washington football team, they've needed some help. I think the bye week will be very helpful for them. And then the 0-8 Detroit Lions, after getting massacred by the Philadelphia Eagles, they are looking to recalibrate their team as well. I think the bye week's going to really help all 4 of these teams moving forward into the future. Our locks this week, Austin, you opted for the Indianapolis Colts over the New York Jets. Those are my New York Jets, of course. Mike White performed great today, got the win over the Bengals. Why are the Colts a generic lock for you here?
Yeah, I think that the Colts are they're looking better. They went toe-to-toe with Tennessee today for sure. We'll get a little more into that later, but you have the Chargers over the Eagles, despite the Chargers just losing and the Eagles winning big. Explain that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just looking at kind of the matchups here on paper. I think that the Chargers just too much talent offensively. Again, we'll get a little bit more into that later on in the video, so make sure you stay tuned for those picks and really the key reasoning on why we went that way. 2 key upsets here. I went with the Minnesota Vikings over the Baltimore Ravens. This game will be played in Baltimore. I think Minnesota just matches up fairly well with this team. They've got the requisite athleticism defensively, and you opted for the Bengals over the Browns. Surprisingly, the Bengals were listed as the underdog here. This is based off of point spread pick'em. The Bengals were listed as an underdog, Austin. Why did you go with Cincinnati there?
I like Cincinnati. I think Joe Burrow, they're going to come back after this loss. It was a very, very tough one to the Jets. However, next week, they should look a lot better.
I think that was a real case of complacency, honestly, losing to the New York Jets, a backup quarterback in Mike White. Seemingly to me, Bengals did not take the Jets very seriously and paid the price, falling to 5-3 this week. Moving into Thursday Night Football, here's that matchup for you, Austin. The Jets and the Colts. You have the Colts as your lock this week. Jets come in at 2-5. Colts 3-5, of course. This is going to be a fun matchup for Thursday night. Gotta love having my team on national television. What's your thoughts for this game?
I think Indianapolis is going to really look to run the football in this game, and the New York Jets really need to make sure that they are able to contain Michael Pittman, who has been on an absolute roll lately. I think it's been pretty safe for us to say that we are both going to pick the Colts. Despite that big win over the Bengals, we are not buying into the overall hype.
Yep, we both bought into the Colts here, so at least I feel confident I have this pick right, siding with the Wizard on this one for this selection. I think the key here for the New York Jets, if they do want to get a win, can the young cornerbacks play at a requisite level and force some turnovers on Carson Wentz? He's been a little up and down this year, a lot more up than down recently. However, I think he still has his areas and flaws that I think the Jets could maybe exploit if they look to win. However, I think Indianapolis does get the job done at home. Which brings us now into the Sunday slate, of course. A ton of really, really good games this week that we have to look at, starting with the Raiders and Giants. Of course, the Raiders coming off a bye week this week at 5-2. I think they've been one of the big surprises this year in the NFL season. And Austin, you see the Giants at 2-5 as well before their Monday Night Football matchup. So they have a little bit of a shorter week where the Raiders had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. We both opted to the Raiders. How key is the bye week for them?
I think it's really big, but looking at the Raiders overall, they played so much better than we had all expected. Did not think they were going to be in this position this deep into the season. Derek Carr has looked really, really good this year, and I just like this team in general.
Derek Carr is playing at such a great level. I think that quarterback play is going to be one of the key differences here. Giants have a lot of nice pieces, just haven't really strung it together yet at this point. We'll see if they can get the job done. However, I got my money on Vegas. Looking now at the next one, we have an interdivision matchup here between the Atlanta Falcons and the New Orleans Saints. Saints surprisingly got the win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston did go out with an injury. At the point we're recording this, we're not exactly clear what that injury is going to be, what his timetable for return is. Trevor Siemian could be the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, Austin. However, we still both went with New Orleans. What's your thoughts in this game?
Really hard to project what kind of injury and timeline it's going to be for Jameis Winston, but under the assumption he plays, I do like the Saints in this game. I just think they're going to be too much offensively for this Falcons defense. I think the Falcons are going to put up some points. However, I think the Saints offense is just more potent.
I think one key thing as well, Atlanta's just got some things going on. That's going to be a little bit of a distraction. There's going to be some media questions all week long about Calvin Ridley. You know, he's stepping away from football for at least the time being. There's going to be questions about that. I think Atlanta maybe not fully focused on this game because of some of the media questions and things going around that NFL team. Of course, a tough situation. Wishing the best for Calvin Ridley and for the Atlanta Falcons. It's just going to be tough for them to stay fully focused on this interdivision matchup game. Then we move into Bills at Jaguars, Austin. I flirted with picking the Jaguars in this one. That's why I'm not the wizard, though. Bills at 5-2, Jaguars at 1-6. Jaguars got run out by Seattle today. Made Geno Smith look like a really good player for about the first time in his career. Austin, we both went with the Bills. Why are the Bills going to walk away with this one in Jacksonville?
It's because they're better on offense and defense. I just think it's pretty clear that the Jags are one of the worst teams in the entire league. I can laugh about it because it's my team. They're so bad on offense and defense. It was one of the most frustrating performances I've ever seen. I don't like Urban Meyer. I'm done with Carlos Hyde. Let's move on. So the next game we have is the Bengals and Browns. The Browns have a 4-4 record, and the Bengals have a 5-3 record going into this one. Now, we did split on it. Sheldon went with the Browns. I opted to go with the Bengals. I did this mainly because they were at home. Sheldon, why do you like the Browns in this game, even though Baker Mayfield is coming off of a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he has a torn shoulder labrum?
I know he's playing through an injury there. He's showing how tough he really is as a quarterback, and I just think it's going to be the run game for Cleveland. I just don't see another way that they struggle on offense as mightily as they did against Pittsburgh. I think they go into Cincinnati, control at the line of scrimmage. Their offensive line, even without Jack Conklin with his injury, I think they get the job done. Win against Cincinnati. I think Nick Chubb has a huge day in this one. Sliding into our very next game here, we have the Patriots at the Panthers. Of course, a very exciting matchup. Stephon Gilmore gets to face his old team there, the New England Patriots. Both teams come in at 4-4. Mac Jones and the New England Patriots just got a win against the Los Angeles Chargers. Panthers fresh off a win as well. We split on this one as well, Austin. I went with the Panthers over New England. You went with New England over Carolina. Break down your thoughts.
It's hard for New England to lose a game at home. I know that this isn't the same old Patriots team, but going into Foxborough is no easy task led under Bill Belichick. I think oh, Jesus. Okay, we'll edit that part out too. So do I need to go here?
So Austin, you opted for the New England Patriots here in this one over Carolina on the road. Why do you think the Patriots get the job done?
I think that the New England Patriots are definitely best suited to go against Carolina. Carolina struggled mightily on offense, and it's going to be hard for Sam Darnold. We know how he's done historically against Bill Belichick. That's why I do like New England in this game.
I guess I have a false sense of confidence right now in Sam Darnold. He struggled mightily this season, especially after the first 3 games of the year. Hasn't really been himself. Well, I guess he has been himself, just hasn't been the first 3 weeks version of himself. I think that the defense here for Carolina gets the job done. I think a rookie Mac Jones struggles against the defensive players that Carolina has. It's going to be a defensive matchup in my mind, and I think Carolina just barely narrows this one out at home. Moving into our very next matchup, we've got the Broncos at the Dallas Cowboys. Broncos coming at 4-4. The Cowboys are 5-1 before their Sunday night matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. This one was very, very easy for me. I went Dallas at home. I don't think there's a lot to talk about. Denver's got some trade rumors going around right now. What's your thoughts?
I think that it really depends on who's starting at quarterback. Denver could win this game. If it ends up being Cooper Rush, Dak Prescott is out for Sunday Night Football. So I am going to opt with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's tough to beat them at home, especially with how they've been playing right now. This is just a tough ticket for Denver.
Yeah, Denver is going to have their work cut out for them in this one. We'll see if they can get the job done. However, again, if you're doing this for your own fantasy pick'em, I would opt for the Dallas Cowboys. Sliding into our next one, another one where we are split here, Austin. This is the most split decisions we've had throughout the entire process so far. Vikings at Ravens. I opted for Minnesota. They're 3-3. This was my upset pick of the week. You opted for Baltimore. Why is Baltimore the favorite here in this one for you?
I think Baltimore is really going to control tempo. They are at home. It's really tough for me to pick Minnesota on the road in this one, especially with how Baltimore has played this year. Lamar Jackson should have a big game in this one, and they're really going to control the line of scrimmage, I believe, in this one. The Vikings are suited to defend the run. However, I think Baltimore still gets the best of them.
For me, I think Minnesota controls the line of scrimmage defensively, and I think offensively their weapons are going to be just a little too much for Baltimore. I think Minnesota gets a lead early and barely holds on. I think, again, this is going to be a really close game. I don't see Minnesota walking through Baltimore by any means. However, I see them getting the job done by a narrow margin yet again over Baltimore. They're my upset pick of the week. Then we're looking at Texans and Dolphins, and I think this is the game that everyone wanted to tune in for here, the 1-7 Texans versus the 1-7 Dolphins. We both opted for Miami and Tua Tagovailoa. These two teams are going to be doing a lot more than playing each other this week. They're going to be on the phones talking about Deshaun Watson. Austin, what's your thoughts on a Deshaun Watson trade possibly going down, and then why did you go with Miami here?
I think that Miami is definitely trying to acquire Deshaun Watson. However, I just don't know if they're going to get the details hashed out before the deadline hits. And it's really a complicated situation, therefore really muddying up the potential trade. So I don't think it gets done, but I do like Miami in this game at home. There's not a lot to write home about with either of these teams, but I think Tua could have a big game against the Texans.
Yeah, I think that the Dolphins just have a little bit more talent offensively. Of course, Devontae Parker, Will Fuller could be on the trade block, could find their way out of Miami. Maybe that kind of shakes up this week a little bit if Miami's very active. But at the same time, Houston could be as well. Brandon Cooks is going to have a lot of suitors. This is going to be one of the hardest games of the week to predict, honestly, just because of where these two teams are at in terms of selling, buying, and everything in between. Chargers at Eagles here. This one a little bit easier for me to pick. I went with the Chargers here. I know the Eagles had a big time win. However, I think the Chargers very, very easily get this one done. I just don't think that they lose 2 games in a row. I think they're too talented. I think Brandon Staley has his team coached right. They get the job done here at Philadelphia. How about you?
Yeah, I think that the Chargers are definitely going to win this game. Even though it's on the road, it's hard to go into Philly and get a win with that environment. But Justin Herbert, they're not going to lose 2 in a row. I think this is a pretty safe pick.
Yes, we see the LA Chargers hoping to move to 5-3 after this Week 9 matchup. Then we have Packers at Chiefs, and this is a really interesting one for me. The Packers played so great as of late, 7-0 in their last 7 games, 7-1 overall in the season after that terrible Week 1 loss. And the Chiefs really, really up and down, 3-4 at this point. Mahomes hasn't been the same Patrick Mahomes that we know. This, of course, is recorded before their Monday night matchup against the New York Giants. I expect the Chiefs to be 4-4 coming into this game and to leave this game 5-4. I think that they are going to look at this as their big statement game, the game that they feel like they need to win to get right, to get back on track, and it's going to be a big statement win at home at Arrowhead Stadium. They beat Aaron Rodgers. They beat the Green Bay Packers here for me, and I think Tyreek Hill has a massive day in this game. What say you, Austin?
Yeah, I think that the Green Bay Packers are actually going to be a little bit too much for the Chiefs defense. They have weapons all around. Aaron Jones is terrific. We all know Devontae Adams is going to be a problem for this Chiefs secondary, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a low-scoring game by any stretch of the imagination. And it's really going to come down to Green Bay's defense having to get a stop at the end of the game.
Very, very good matchup, and one I'm really, really excited to watch this upcoming week. Cardinals at 49ers, another interdivision matchup here in the NFC West. Cardinals at 7-1, 49ers at 3-4, did survive the Chicago Bears today. However, I don't think that was a real vote of confidence for anyone in picking them over Arizona this week. I have the Cardinals, you do too. Any key matchups to watch in this game?
I think it's going to be the offensive play offensive line play for the Arizona Cardinals. Can they keep Kyler Murray upright? Hopefully, he can extend the plays. He does it every single game, but it's really going to have to come down to Nick Bosa making some plays and really getting them in like 2nd and long, 3rd and long, and really force the Cardinals' hand in just selling out for the passing game.
Right, and my other question is, do the 49ers have enough offensively to keep up with Arizona if they're unable to stop them frequently defensively? My answer to that is no. Deebo Samuel, shout out to him, had a phenomenal game this week. However, I just don't think they have enough to get it done here against Arizona. Then our Sunday night matchup, a really, really good one. Tennessee Titans coming in at 6-2 versus the Los Angeles Rams at SoFi Stadium, who are 7-1. We both opted for the Rams. Austin, of course, the Rams have so much talent. I want to talk about the Tennessee Titans here. How do you feel about this team? They're 6-2, which would indicate that they're a great team. However, it just doesn't feel that way to me this season. I want to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think there's been some issues in that secondary. They've had a couple of injuries on that back end. We've seen guys like Glenn Maven actually playing at that corner spot, which really doesn't give me a ton of confidence in this team defensively, especially when you go up against the powers of that NFC, looking at the LA Rams here. Really going to test this Tennessee Titans secondary, and I think Cooper Kupp could have a humongous game.
I was just about to ask about Cooper Kupp. If I place the over-under on 125 yards, Austin, are you hitting the over, the under, or right in between?
He's been great all year. I'm hitting the over on that one for sure.
I think with the Titans' injuries, Caleb Farley, of course, out, they had moved on from a lot of their secondary members last offseason. I think it finally comes back to bite them a little bit. The Rams moved to 8-1 after this matchup, in my opinion. Then, of course, we move into our Monday night matchup. They saved the best for last here with the Chicago Bears at 3-5 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers 4-3. Of course, this matchup, not maybe quite as fun as we possibly could have thought it would be at the start of the year. Ben Roethlisberger just hasn't looked himself all year long. I think that, really the age and where he's at in his career is getting to him. And also the Chicago Bears, they've just struggled a lot to protect their quarterback, Justin Fields. A little antsy in the pocket, has made a lot of nice plays though, and I think shows real promise. However, he's just not there yet in his development. I have the Steelers getting this one done because of their defensive line play. I think TJ Watt has a massive day against the Chicago Bears. What's your thoughts?
That's a great point. The Chicago Bears offensive line, ton of struggles. Justin Fields takes a ton of sacks. It takes him a little bit longer to process that defense. However, he's a dynamic athlete. In this game, he's going to have to win it with his legs. However, I just think that Pittsburgh's defensive line and front seven in general is going to be way too much for this Bears line to handle.
Pittsburgh, a phenomenal defense. I think that is really the key storyline to watch. And now we transition into our final topic, thoughts on the NFL trade deadline. Of course, we're recording this Sunday night. The trade deadline is Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern time, November the 2nd. Austin, any key players you want to highlight, talk about, any teams that you think are going to be active, maybe not active, that should be? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think a team that is definitely going to be looking to sell that we had not anticipated was the Miami Dolphins. A lot of people thought they were in that playoff conversation heading into the year. They just have not looked very good, to be blunt about it. But I think they're definitely going to be looking to move on from that wide receiver room. I think Devontae Parker could be on his way out. Will Fuller, you had alluded to it earlier. There's a couple of teams that are definitely in the wide receiver market. Another guy on the block that's been talked about is Deshaun Jackson. There's been talk about him demanding a trade out of LA, so they're currently working on finding him a partner.
For me, there's two key teams I really want to focus on. First of all, the Denver Broncos. Of course, Von Miller, I think the big name to watch this trade deadline, but they've also got some other pieces. Melvin Gordon. Do they hand over the keys to Javonte Williams already and move on from their lead back, currently Melvin Gordon? And then also Kyle Fuller. I think he's going to get found out of there very quickly, He's going to end up on a different team very, very soon. He will not be with Denver the rest of the season. He gets traded for sure. And then also the New York Jets. I think Marcus May is a name to watch at this point. And I also think that they could be a team that could sneakily look to buy some younger players. Andy Isabella from Arizona. I would not be surprised if he ends up on the New York Jets for, say, maybe a 5th round pick. A buy low move for them with some high upside because of his speed, athleticism. Very interesting. Let us know your thoughts on the trade deadline in the comments section. Let's go ahead now and move into the final. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. We do really appreciate you taking time out of your day to watch, tune in. Let us know what your thoughts are on this awesome, crazy week in football. You saw how split our thoughts were on a lot of these games. There was a ton of difference in opinion, and I think there's a lot of good reasoning on why you could look a certain way for specific teams. So again, hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you're new as well, and we'll also make sure to leave a comment so that you can get entered for that NFL jersey giveaway. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll catch you in the very next video.